Hey y'all, it's Tasha here. I am going to be filming an end of the month budget breakdown and closing out my budget for the month of April. It is April 29th today, and I did get my stimulus check finally. Yay for that. And also I got my regular Social Security deposit early because of the way that my bank works. So I am going to be closing out the month of April because all my bills are paid and I won't need to be doing anything else for the next 2 days. And I will catch you with the next video where I'll be basically transferring over a big starting balance, which I'll talk more about in the next video. But for this video, I'm closing out the month of April, and you'll see how close I came to the budget that I set, and how I go through all my expenses and check everything off and close out all the categories. So stay tuned. I will be back in just a moment with the budget. See you in a minute. All right, I'm back. So here we are with my Happy Planner budget book, and I am ready to close out April and get ready for May. So I'm going to turn here to the beginning of April. As you probably know, I don't really write anything on the month except for paydays and any transfers that I would like to make. I write my bills on the next page, which is a bill tracker like this, where it's just one line here. And I write the dates in that I pay those things or that they're due. And then I can write the amounts and the categories over here. And then I check off throughout the month as they get paid. On this other side here, we have my savings tracker. Basically, I just check those. And what's going to be happening this month is, because this used to be a high yield savings account, and when the market kind of tanked, the savings interest rate that I got on this particular savings account went down really low. It went from over like 1.1 to 0.6 or something like that. It's really low. So I'm going to be taking that amount out and transferring it into another savings account that is getting a higher yield. So I will be counting this $239 as basically income, and you will see how I do that. Here you have my weekly expenses. Every single week I write down every single expense that I make, and sometimes I check off whether it's a need or a want. Otherwise I leave that part blank. But I do highlight in each color for my categories, and then that way at the bottom here each week I could total up how much I spent in each category and keep track of that. Now if you want to see a mid-month or a weekly check-in, write down in the comments and let me know if you'd like to see how I do my weekly or mid-month check-ins. I did not film one in April because I just wanted to know if it was really something that people wanted to see. So if you do, just let me know. Here again, I have, it's 5 weeks in the month of April, so for every week I have everything totaled down. And then we're ending up this week, like I said, a little bit early. I paid off my last couple of bills and won't be doing anything else for the near future and until I do my May budget. And so I will be stopping here and closing that out. So I have already off camera totaled up my expenses in for each category. The categories you'll see here, I keep this little note of what each category means, and it's also color-coded to my monthly budget sheet here. So I am going to be taking this and I'm going to be adding it all in. So for my income up here, I'm going to add an extra box. There's never enough boxes in these things for everything that I need. That $239 that is going to be taken out of my savings account and added to my my regular checking account, so then I could transfer to a different savings account in May. So you see I had a beginning balance that's written right here. Beginning balance is $74.35. I got my Social Security disability check, my child benefits, 3 actual child support payments this month, my stimulus, this is royalties from my book, and then the $239. So I'm going to add up that income. Okay, and that is $3,812.70. It's a much higher income amount for me than most months. Down here at the bottom where it says total income, I am actually going to add the beginning balance in to that $38,1270. And so that I have the total amount there. So beginning balance is $74.35. And the reason why I do that is so that I could make sure that my total expenses and the money that I actually have comes out all equal. Now let's add up expenses. My fixed expenses are here. Those have all been paid. So I'm just going to add those up. I'm adding up the actual amounts here. Okay, and the total is $832.16. So as you see, even though I had one bill from a streaming subscription that I forgot to cancel, so that one was budgeted at $0 and spent at $5.99, because I always round up, when you add everything all together, I ended up under my budget. Okay, and so let's add up debt. I'm sorry if you could hear my son playing video games. He gets really loud when he does. Let me just do 50 times 5 plus 1998 equals 269.98. And that is what we have there. My savings, which is my sinking funds here, have all been added to, except for my emergency fund. I did not add any amount to that yet. I will be doing that in the month of May. I'll be making a big transfer into my emergency fund. So I have 11 plus 50 plus 25. $240 is the actual amount there. Okay, and now I'm going to write in, I have already totaled up each and every category for my variable expenses. So I'm going to write them in and add them up. So for home supplies, I went way over. And that is because with the lockdown, I decided to do a couple home projects of decluttering and organizing up under my cabinets. So I spent some money on some totes and things like that. So that's a little bit over. Groceries I have here, that I went over on, and I really shouldn't have, but instead of going to the big grocery store for groceries this month, I mostly went to a local smaller grocery store that is within walking distance of my home, and because their products and stuff is more expensive, I actually ended up spending a little bit more than I had budgeted, because I made a lot of small trips over there because there's like no people in the store. And so I just would rather go and grab whatever groceries I needed from that small little grocery store that has 0 people, rather than going over to Walmart or something like that and having to deal with tons and tons of lines of people. I'm trying to stay away from coronavirus as much as possible. Being chronically ill, I do not need to catch it. I'm one of those people that is at risk for getting very sick if I catch coronavirus. Okay, so my eating out, we went over on, because again, we were just getting smaller amounts of groceries and they were a lot more expensive at that store and didn't really have everything. So we ate out a little bit more than we wanted to, that I originally budgeted for. But $34 over is not that bad, and you got to consider most of that is in tips. Transportation, I am way under on. I budgeted for $90 just because that's how much I normally spend every month on transportation, but I didn't go anywhere. Literally all of my doctor's appointments got canceled because they told me I'm at risk. So they only did telehealth video appointments. So I didn't go anywhere. Same thing with my son's appointments. We didn't have to go to any of his appointments because they only did it over video. He also has an illness and he is at risk as well. So the only thing that I did is I went to the pharmacy one time for prescriptions. So my total for transportation is only $2. So I'm not really worried about how much extra I spent here in these 3 categories, because I know in the rest of the categories, most of them, I spent way under. So basically my allowance, pretty much, I only spent $16.87. And that's under. For my son, instead of $50, I only spent $21.37. That was mostly on his games and things. For medical, between prescriptions and I bought some handmade masks, that's $36.85, which is under. Business, now this one I went over on, it's $45.99. I did not realize at the beginning of the month that I had run out of ink refills. So I had to order ink refills, and that is why that is over by $26. Subscriptions, budgeted $5, that was $5. Laundry, budgeted 100 and I paid 75. It was a lot less than 75 this month, but I wanted to put a little bit extra on my balance so that next month it'll be a low amount too. So I just paid 75 because I had budgeted 100 anyway. And then fun money, I budgeted for $5. That's usually what we spend on movies and things like that, books. I only spent $2.12 because I bought 2 99-cent books from Amazon. So adding all that up, I can move that out of the way. Okay, and so the total came to $753.64, which again, I was way under on a whole lot of these things, so I am under there too. So my total expenses, when I add up the totals for all 4 of these, 832. 16 and 269.98 and 753.64 and 240. My total expenses is $2,095. My pen's gonna act weird now. $2,095.78. And when I subtract that, that leaves me with $1,791.27. Which I could tell you right now is way off from what I have left over in my bank account. So let me just double check and make sure that I did the math on that right. I'm adding, oh my God. Well, as I look at it, it looks right. Well, that's the correct amount. So I went through off camera and I added up everything again, and I cannot tell you for the life of me why my actual income minus expenses is so much less than the cash on hand that I actually have. Because my cash balance remaining is $29.78.25. So these two numbers should be a lot closer than they are, and I wish I could tell you why they are not. I've done the numbers 3 times already. It just can't figure it out. I'm sure it has something to do with getting the stimulus check and extra money, and my budgeting being off for, well, actually my budgeting wasn't off that bad for the month, but my numbers just do not add up. But it is what it is. I'm going to leave it as it is, and I'm going to start my May budget with this. Oh, gosh darn it, I know what it is. Well, I know what part of it is, at least. I did figure that out. I have to add another income source in here because I got my check early. So there's another $12.16 that has been added to that. So let me try this again here. So if I take my beginning balance, okay, this amount is actually different. It's 5103.05. And then if I subtract my expenses from that, that's much closer. And I'm off, let's see, that's off by about $30. That is because my bank account that I have does roundup transactions. So as I do transactions, it rounds up the amount and puts it into that savings account, which I'm actually taking from. So the amount is actually off a little bit, but it is still much closer than it was. So that is the end of my budget. This amount here, this cash balance that I have remaining, is going to be taken and moved to my May budget, and you will see that one coming soon. Please stay tuned, please like and subscribe, and hit that bell so that you get notifications when I put out a new video. I will be putting out the May budget video tomorrow or the next day, and that is it for me today. Take care of yourself and take care of others. Bye-bye now.